Hello everyone and welcome to a vehicle that has comfort and dynamics of an SUV but capabilities of a pickup truck, which is this 2025 Honda Ridgeline Trailsport. So this 2025 Ridgeline is offered in three different trims: Sport, Trailsport and the Black Edition, and the Trailsport is the latest variant to be added to the Ridgeline. Otherwise there were only just two trim levels, and the Trailsport is more off-road focused. I mean slightly off-road focused because it's got slightly different design in terms of the front end in this grille. The suspensions are more off-road oriented, but otherwise it's pretty much identical to the other models. Now let me begin from the front. So you have this gray color glossy grille out here, which is, as I said, slightly different design. So in the other models there are these horizontal slots given, but on this it's more like a mesh type of setup with the orange Trailsport badge on the left side and this big Honda badging, and on the top there is this black color glossy plastic that goes from one end to the other on these headlights. And if you look at the shape from the front, it would remind you of an Odyssey or a Pilot or a Passport, but yeah, you wouldn't be wrong because it's nearly identical in terms of its appearance. But I really like this color on this, and it's been an eye-catching color even on the road because everyone's been looking at it and just wondering what sort of pickup truck is that. So yeah, the color itself is very good, and at the bottom there is just normal plastic bumper. It's just much more easier to replace that, and there is also skid plate given, so which is again a Trailsport option, so make it much more off-road capable. Also at the bottom there is again glossy gray plastic provided and more plastic around here, and these are the real vents on either side. And then there are these turn signals. So these turn signals are the halogen turn signals, and the bottom of that there are these LED fog lights provided. And when we come to the headlight cluster, it's a mixture of halogen and LED. So the lower beams are the LEDs, whereas the upper beams are halogen, and there is also this L-shaped DRL, which is again an LED given on the top side, and pretty big sort of headlight cluster given in the front. And the front end, if you look at it, it's quite narrow that way, but also quite tall in that sense, and like for a pickup truck. And underneath this sits a 3.5 liter V6 engine. Now on the sides there are these normal plastic skirtings provided to protect your actual fender with this paintwork. And when it comes to these wheels, for the Trailsport variant there are these 18-inch glossy dark grey wheels along with the all-terrain tires, which is exclusive to this Trailsport variant, whereas the other two variants, which is the Sport and the Black Edition, comes with the all-weather tires. So that's one of the major differences also between the different models. And if you look at the overall ground clearance, it's not exactly horizontal because it's slightly raised up from the back, and in the front it's slightly lower, and you can also visually make out from the side profile when you look at it. At the bottom there's normal plastic skirtings provided that go till the bottom of the door and protect your actual frame, so when you go off-roading it does not get dirty. And as I was mentioning, there is a lot of ground clearance here. Now the difference between this Ridgeline and a lot of pickup trucks like the mid-size or the full-size pickup trucks is the construction. So most of the pickup trucks are based on body on frame, whereas this is based on the unibody construction, and as a result of that it gives a lot more comfortable ride on this Ridgeline. So instead of the leaf spring, which is pretty common in the pickup trucks, this one has the independent suspensions, again adding to the comfortable driving experience as I mentioned. Now when you come to these side mirrors, these are non-power foldable side mirrors. They are the glossy black side mirrors, and they are also power adjustable. They have the blind spot warning, but it's on the edge of this mirror on the inside. I don't know, I feel like it's too inside. Sometimes I've missed it also. Let me know in the comment section. Then there is also this turn signal provided on the edge. When you come to this door, these are the keyless entry doors, but only the front doors are the keyless entry doors. There is no roof rails, but there is a standard sunroof provided, and this is a dual cab variant. And all the Ridgeline variants come with the all-wheel drive system as standard, and in the back there is also the bed. But this Ridgeline is just not about the bed, because there is much more to it. Now in the rear there is combination of LED and halogen tail light cluster. Turn signals, reverse lights are in halogen. The main brake lights are in LED. There's also this Ridgeline embossed in the trunk door. There is Honda badging in chrome and the Trailsport badge in the orange, and normal plastic bumper, so as to just, it's easier to replace it if you damage this bit. There is also this grainy texture on the top side, so it gives you grip if you want to climb into the back of this pickup. And at the bottom there are these dual chrome exhaust tips, and these are the functional exhaust tips. There's also a trailering hook provided, so this thing can trailer up to 2.2 tons. And in order to open the trunk door, just pull this, and there is no soft drop, so yeah, be careful and hold it till the end, otherwise it might just fall down. And yeah, don't stand in front of it because it's quite heavy also. Now this is the standard arrangement. There are these plastic plates, and also again texture on this bed also to give you extra bit of grip. But this Ridgeline comes with an innovative storage option which is first in its class. So if you're wondering where the spare wheel is, because the spare wheel isn't mounted at the bottom in the trunk floor, but there is a door. So in order to open that door, you press a button here and you can unveil the spare wheel, which is right there. And also there is another big storage provided which can also act as a cool box apparently, because there is like a drainage valve given at the bottom too, so you can drain out. And also there's rubber seals, so I'm guessing it seals things on the inside and keeps them cooler also. But yeah, this is quite deep. In fact, let me just go inside and show you how deep it is, because it can literally, I can hide in here. Yeah, it's that deep. There is also another small storage provided on the right side in the back. You can just unbolt and open the door to that, and once you're done putting it, you can just lock that in place. So this thing comes with a lot of unique and clever storage options. There are also tying hooks provided across all the corners. There are also cargo lights given, which are the halogen lights. You can switch them on from the inside. Next to the steering wheel there is a button, you press that and switch on those. And in terms of the visibility, it's actually decent because it's got much more vertical visibility, so that's not going to be an issue in terms of that. And there's also this window in the rear glass, so this window opens up and it's electronically openable, so you have to just flick the switch and open this rear window, and gives you a little bit of extra air for the rear passengers also. And then in order to close it, as I said, this thing is quite heavy, so make sure you lift this properly and close it. If you are looking for more storage options that is covered, then this Ridgeline comes with that. Where? Right here, because this thing also comes with Honda's magic seats. So pull this lever on the side of the seats and fold them up, this one, and just fold them up, and you have this huge space in the rear where you can put a lot more taller stuff. And also it's quite flat, and the good thing is it's quite easier to put them down also. Again, pull this lever, let the seats come down and just lock it in place. Now on the inside of this Ridgeline, lots of things would make you feel like you're sitting in an SUV instead of the pickup truck. The overall appearance in the front, as I mentioned, is quite similar to the previous generation of the Pilot or the Passport, so yeah, that would make you remind of that. And also the way it's kind of sitting low down also. But let me begin with the material quality. So the top face of the dashboard and even the side face has soft touch materials throughout, even on the Trailsport variant. Even on the door cards there's soft touch material where you're going to be resting hands, that's leather covered with the orange color stitching. Only on some of the side faces is plastic. At the bottom it's plastic, even on the side face of this dashboard and near the glove box door it's all normal plastic to give you much more ruggedness in terms of the daily usability. Even in this center console it's all plastic where you're going to be resting hands. Again, this box is also now bigger in this generation compared to the previous one. That's also leather covered with the orange color stitching. On the side face, again, it's just normal plastic, but it's quite spacious that ways for all the passengers in the front, so you can stretch out your legs also. So this plastic is not going to be bothering you while driving. The steering wheel is leather covered with the orange color stitching. Around this infotainment screen is glossy black plastic, and then normal plastic switches and buttons around the air conditioning controls. And even here the quality of plastic has been decent. Some places here on the sideways has been okay-ish, but otherwise, yeah, near these switches and buttons and all, yeah, that's a good amount of plastic. Now when we come to the driver's display, so there is a 7-inch digital driver's display given on this Trailsport variant of the Ridgeline, and there is on the right side a fixed speedometer, and this 7-inch screen that is visible can show you a lot of important information. And not just that, it's also quite crisp, and it does not have a lot of fading when the sun is falling directly on it. And in order to change all the options, so there is a scroller dial given on the left side of the steering wheel, and also a home button with which you can go through the different menus. So the first option, again, whatever options you keep on the screen, is the range, which is trip A, trip B. Then we go press the home button into the speed and time, again trip A, trip B. Then the audio option, phone option, navigation, all-wheel drive torque distribution, at any point how much torque is distributed to all the wheels, maintenance, tire pressure, no content if you don't want to see anything on the screen, brightness, gauge, display settings. So what options you see on the menu in the driver's display, you can change that to warnings, and then back to range and fuel. That's about it. And in the center, when the cruise control is on, you can see that too. So the lane keep assist and all of that is shown in the middle, and also digital speed shown in the middle part of that screen. But that's about it in terms of what you can change. It's fairly easy to just operate this driver's display. When you come to this steering wheel, as I said, this is a leather steering wheel, and it's also half perforated steering wheel to make it a little more sportier, and it's also quite slim, but it's pretty big that way. In the center there is Honda badging, and it's like 4-spoke steering wheel. The steering wheel is also manually adjustable, tilt and telescopic, slightly on the harder side. There are also paddle shifters given in the back, but this thing comes with 9-speed automatic transmission. So if you want to go light bit of off-roading, then you can select the gears manually, so you can take the control from the automatic. So there are also buttons provided on either side. So on the right side there are buttons given for the adaptive cruise control and the lane keep assist, whereas on the left side there are also buttons given for the media control and also the information to change the driver's display. The steering wheel is also the heated steering wheel, and the button is provided on the right side. But yes, that's about it in terms of the steering. And as I said, I like how all the buttons are grouped together on either side, so sort of like split between multiple levels, where the audio options are on both the sides and everything. So yeah, it's very grouped together on either side. Now when we come to the air conditioning controls, this is something which is pretty unique for this class, because it's got tri-zone air conditioning system on the inside, and again all button operated, straightforward on and off button, and in the middle there is the fan button to adjust the fan speed, and then on either side the switches to change the temperature and also the flow of air to change that, the mode, then the fresh air, and that's about it on and off button. Then in order to change the rear air conditioning, there are buttons given at the bottom, rear air conditioning on and off, then the RR settings, which is for the rear. So change the fan speed, temperature from this side, then you can lock the rear air conditioning so that no one can change from the back. Then we come back and switch it off or on from here also. And there are also buttons given at the bottom of this air conditioning controls on either side for the heated seats. So the driver and the passenger side seat is both the heated seats. Now when we come to the infotainment screen, this is a 9-inch infotainment screen, and compared to the previous generation, it's grown by an inch. So previously it used to be 8-inch, and now it's 9-inch. And in terms of the appearance, it's got the same Honda layout, like color coded icons and everything on the screen itself. There are also buttons given on the side for home, back, and also the volume dial and also the track changer, and some more buttons given at the bottom. I'm going to come to that. But in terms of the snappiness, it's decent, and I've mentioned in the previous videos also of the Hondas that I've reviewed that this system now has started to age. Although I like this system, I really like this system, but then something needs to be spiced up a little bit so that it looks a little more appealing now when you compare to the other manufacturers who started giving like newer systems on their infotainment screen. And the screen also has a bit of an angle, so it's angled towards the roof, but surprisingly there is no glare or anything when the sun is falling directly on it, or just the sun doesn't hit it, because it's been covered around that waist quite well. And now in terms of the operation, so on the main screen there is the all apps. You can select what apps you see on your main infotainment screen, then the phone option, FM option, and Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. So in terms of the connectivity, you can connect to this infotainment system using Bluetooth, USB, and there is wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. There's Sirius XM, there's Bluetooth audio, then the trip computer, you can see the trip information, then the general settings, system, smartphone connections, display, sound. So there are 7 speaker music system including the subwoofer given on this, whereas the black edition comes with 8 speaker with the woofer. Then we go back and then there is the vehicle settings, inside which there is driver assistant, meter, driving position, keyless, lighting, door setup, maintenance info and everything. Then there is USB, AM, system updates, clock, Honda Link, so you can download an app on the phone and then you can control some of the operations on the car, unlock, lock, start the car, heat the car, cool the car. Then there is compass, then the smart shortcuts. So these are something when you are driving, so these are tailored to you, so you can customize everything, so you only see those options when you are driving the car. Then the display mode, so you can reduce the brightness or display off, so switch off the display if you want to clean this display. And as I said, there are more buttons given at the bottom also for phone, Bluetooth, FM, trip computer, smart shortcuts, display mode, and also you can arrange all these buttons at the bottom and also on the main screen. Long press it and then there are options to change every single thing, and it also shows you how to do that on the screen itself. So that is your infotainment screen on this Ridgeline. Now in terms of the charging, so there are 2 USB ports, one normal and type C, and one 12-volt power socket given underneath the air conditioning controls, and also there is a wireless charger provided on this Trailsport variant of the Ridgeline, and there is also one 12-volt power socket provided for the rear passengers. Now if you're wondering where the gear shifter is, there is none because there are these buttons. So this Ridgeline has shift by wire, so there is the park, reverse, neutral and the drive button, but essentially it just saves the spacer and keeps things a little more open here. So I don't know, if you just have to learn a little bit more where these buttons are all the time. So once you get used to it, it becomes quick to shift into different modes. I've realized that. And also this D button has the sport mode, so you press that and you can put the truck into a little more sporty mode also. But there are also more dedicated modes provided. So there is a button given in the back, it's got this pickup logo on it, so you press that and there are 4 different driving modes. So the first one is the normal, snow, mud and the sand mode. And as I said, because there is all-wheel drive, so the car would automatically figure out how much to distribute power and torque and adjust everything accordingly. And then the next button is the engine start stop. When we come to the storage, so in the door cards there is plenty of storage. This Ridgeline has a lot of storage, and the door cards can easily put like 1.5 liter worth of bottle, and also double storage where you can put phones and wallets. There is this big storage underneath the air conditioning controls, and then there is one more slot inside which you can put your wallets. There are these 2 flexible cup holders. There's also this glove box, is lined with normal plastic, and even on the passenger side same setup, double layer of storage. And then there is this huge center armrest in which there is big storage. You can easily put like 4 half a liter worth of bottle and some more storage on the inside, and as I said, this is the bigger storage provided now on this generation of the Ridgeline. And in the rear on both the door cards there is a cup holder and also a slot to put your phones maybe, and there is also a center armrest in which there are two more cup holders. Now on this Ridgeline there are these extendable sun visors, and there is also a standard sunroof given, but it's also quite cold outside now, so I'm gonna just keep it closed. Now there are more buttons given on the left side for the driver, so those are for the lane keep assist, the traction control, the cargo light button, and also the side mirror that can be heated, and also there is then economy mode, so you press that and you can put this V6 engine into the economy mode also. Now when we come to these seats, so these are the leather seats and they are the perforated seats, but they are not the cool seats but just the heated seats. They also have this sort of strap in the middle like a design, and even on the bottom bit, and these seats are also pretty comfortable for longer runs, and they are quite broad. They offer good amount of support, but just that, yeah, there is not much support at the bottom on the sides, but in terms of the extension they are quite long, so they offer good amount of support underneath my thigh, and also on the sides there is decent side support, I will say, and the headrests are slightly on the harder side, and they have the Trailsport badging on them also, and there is also the orange color stitching on them too. Now in terms of the adjustability, so the driver side seat is 8-way electronically adjustable and 2-way lumbar adjustment, whereas the passenger side seat is just 4-way electronically adjustable. Now on this Ridgeline there is no electronic handbrake button, but instead there is a pedal, so you press that pedal and lock the handbrake and depress it again to unlock the handbrake. Now in the rear things are a bit tight, so this driver seat is in my driving position, and after that I'm getting about 2 fingers of knee room, and the headroom is decent, although someone above 6 feet would start brushing their head against the ceiling. There's a bit of a cutout provided to give you that extra bit of headroom, but in terms of the overall comfort in the seats, now I do find that these seats are slightly on the harder side compared to the front ones, but in terms of the angle they are quite good, especially for pickup trucks, because most of the times they are just slightly on the lower side to give you extra bit of space, but I have good amount of support underneath my thigh, and the seats are the same black color leather seats with the orange color stitching. They are perforated seats, but they are not the cool seats, but they are the heated seats. There are also 3 headrests provided. If you're wondering where the third one is, it's right here. It slides up, but otherwise it just sits low down so that the visibility is not hindered for the driver, and there is good amount of support that way. They are like bench type of setup. Even in the back it's more flattish, but yes, they are quite broad here, and even the middle seat is also pretty broad. And if you are not going to be using this rear space, you can fold up the seats also, because these are the magic seats, and there is no tunnel or a step in the back, and there's also rubber mats provided, and they are also provided in the front also with the Trailsport badging. And if I sit in the middle seat is actually pretty soft that way. It's just that the back rest is slightly on the harder side, but what I can tell you is that it's quite broad, so 3 adults can fit in here, although the middle one, yeah, not for a long time, because there is this hand rest provided that has 2 cup holders and a small slot in the back, and it's also quite broad, this hand rest, so you can easily rest your hands and also have the drinks here, although the cup holders are slightly on the shallow side, so yeah, you might have to hold the drinks, especially if you go off-roading or anything. In terms of the door card qualities, so now the door card is all in plastic, only where you're going to be resting hands, that's leather covered with the orange color stitching, and 2 cup holders, as I said, given on either side with a slot to put your phone. And I cannot slide my legs too much under the seat also, because there's not much room for that. There are also pocket storages provided in the driver and the passenger side seat. There are also 2 air conditioning vents provided in the back, along with the controls for the rear air conditioning. So straightforward on and off in the middle, on the left side for temperature, on the right side for the fan speed and the flow of air. and on either side there are buttons given for the heated seats, so the passengers in the rear on either side also get the heated seats. Overall the arrangement is decent. You sit quite high up in these seats, so you get good amount of visibility. But yeah, if someone is having longer legs and is also taller, then yeah, they might find it a bit tight on the inside. But on the plus side, if you're not going to be using it, you can use this as a storage also, because you can fold up these seats and utilize the storage option in the rear. So this 2025 Honda Ridgeline Trailsport comes with a 3.5 liter V6 engine that produces 280 horsepower and 262 pound-feet of torque, and this engine is mated to a 9-speed automatic transmission which is shift by wire. There are also paddle shifters, so if you want to take manual control you can do that too. Now in terms of the engine and the transmission, I like for everyday use this is a good setup, but it still lacks that lower end torque, this engine itself, and it might sometimes feel slightly underpowered also, and it's also sometimes sluggish in terms of its response. But as I said, for daily use this is very good. But if you're going to be doing some intense off-roading, but I don't think this can, because this thing comes with the all-wheel drive system, so it will be able to tackle some very light off-roading, or even when there are snowy days and the road conditions are slippery, to increase the traction. Then yes, this will do that, because it's got the torque management system which will cleverly manage everything from its side. So yes, for everyday use this is very good engine, because yes, it also delivers good fuel economy also. So in terms of the fuel economy, it delivers on longer runs between 10 to 10.5 liters per 100 kilometers, whereas for the city driving in like traffic and conditions like that, it would deliver between 12 to 13 to 13.5, depends on the traffic conditions. But yes, that's what you can expect, which is again pretty good for a truck this size and for a 3.5 liter engine. And this is just a naturally aspirated engine given. When also the gear shifts are pretty smooth, surprisingly, when you take the manual control. So it takes like half a second to shift into different gears, which is why I said just let the car figure out on its own. There's also the sport mode, but that just improves a little bit of response from the engine. It makes it slightly more livelier, but yeah, that's about it. It just does not like completely transform the car. Now when we come to the suspensions, so as I said, these suspensions are off-road calibrated, so they are slightly different than the other two variants of the Ridgeline. So they are on the harder side, and plus with these all-terrain tires, it makes it like an even more harder setup. But I get it why, but still it's not very hard that it will make your life uncomfortable on the inside, but just borderline hard also. So it soaks the bumps very well, and because these are independent suspensions, so they offer a lot more comfort, and the uni body, as I was mentioning, that makes sure that the bed in the back doesn't flop around too much, just otherwise like the body on frame kind of setup. So compared to that, this thing is much more sturdy, and again, if you put more weight in the bed, then that will improve the traction also. But otherwise it does feel slightly on the lighter side. But it's just that when you're driving this truck in the front side, it just feels like an SUV, and that's a very good characteristic, because it just drives like an SUV. So it's much more confidence inducing in terms of the drive quality. It's just when you look back you realize, yes, it's just like a truck and not an SUV. Now when you come to the steering, it's pretty decent again for a pickup truck, and it's not got much roll, so the steering also feels quite confident, and it's also decently pointy for a pickup truck, and it's got like 1.5 rotation on either side. But the turning radius, I found it to be pretty decent compared to a lot of other trucks, because it's not too big. The sun falling directly, so yeah, it's not too wide, like large turning radius, but in fact it's a very medium sort of compared to the other pickup trucks. Now when we come to the brakes, there are 4-disc brakes on this Trailsport, and the brake pedal is a bit spongy to my liking, and yeah, you really have to press the brake pedal a little bit because initially there's not much happening and then later on it starts to brake. So yeah, you have to really stomp if there is an emergency, and there is a lot of travel also to it. Now when we come to the noise and the vibrations, because these are all-terrain tires, so there's a bit of noise from those tires, and also there is wind whooshing from around these windows. And engine, when it's only when you pull it hard and then it starts to become loud, but otherwise on daily basis this engine is surprisingly very quiet. It does not feel very industrial, unlike some of the pickups. Now when we come to the safety systems, so there are 6 airbags, 2 for the front driver and the passenger, 2 side airbags again for the driver and the passenger. There are also 2 curtain airbags given in the frames. Then there is also a single camera reversing system, and the output from that can be improved because yeah, it's a little grainy, and I don't know if there is a trailer, then it does not offer anything for the trailering or as such. It's just the standard single camera reversing system, so it can improve in that department. There is also child isofix points in all the 3 seats. Even in the middle seat there is a child isofix point. Then there is lane keep assist, lane departure warning, adaptive cruise control, blind spot warning, ABS, then the front pedestrian warning, rear collision warning, front collision warning. Also there is a camera that detects all of that to warn you. Then there is the rear seat reminder. So yeah, like the standard Honda, this also has the safety systems, and even for something sort of a mid spec, this is a very good safety system provided. Now when we come to the pricing, so the base variant, which is the Sport, starts from $53,600, whereas this Trailsport starts at $57,100 approximately, and the Black Edition comes in at $59,600. Now in terms of the mid-size pickup trucks, there is a lot of competition that is there in this segment, but where this truck stands out is its ability to just drive as an everyday car, and you don't really have to sweat about, oh, you're driving a pickup truck. So that way it's very approachable, it's very friendly to drive, and it's also spacious for the rear passengers. Yeah, it might be slightly on the tighter side, but the plus point is that there is that space when you fold up the seats, and not to forget the bed, which comes with that innovative trunk space. So you open and there is more storage at the bottom. So it's got like a lot of storage options on the inside and also inside the bed, and it's also very daily drivable because it's got good fuel economy. And yes, some of the things that can change, but I still think this is one of the better trucks, and Trailsport is something which you could opt for if you have light bit of off-roading that you usually do, and also you need something for the daily driving. So yeah, that's somewhere where this would be the fit. Otherwise then there are the other options in the lineup. Then you can go for the Sport or the Black Edition, but overall I'm pretty impressed by what it can do, and especially the dynamics, the SUV kind of dynamics that this thing comes with. So yeah, definitely make sure to check this medium size pickup truck. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you for watching this video, and please make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and also please make sure to share it and subscribe. And if you want to subscribe to my channel, then you can click here. Please make sure to do that. And if you want to watch more videos, then click here. I shall see you in the next video. Bye bye, take care, and drive safe.